So if I think about what I wish the healthcare professionals around my mom's care could have done differently, I think it would have been helpful to just have more time and more touch points. Maybe I didn't go to a counseling group or didn't have any kind of education that they gave to me. And when I tried to find it, this was back in 2011, it was hard to, I didn't wind up finding a community around me. And so if maybe there was one thing that would have been really helpful, I think it would have been having more help connecting to a community of other caregivers, and especially in my case, I think young adult caregivers that had an early onset diagnosis in their families too. The times I would go to my mom's doctor's appointments, it felt like between that time and the last time, there had been so much in between. It was hard to know what to bring up and where to start. And actually, there's so many things looking back that I never brought up with her healthcare professionals. I think because I didn't really understand what was going on myself. And I think one example that's kind of illustrates this is sometimes my mom, in her later stages of her Alzheimer's, would hear things like that reminded her of something in her past that was really hard. So she had some different kind of childhood trauma with her dad, and if I called my dad instead of his first name, she would sometimes revert back into her younger self when something had happened that was really upsetting to her. So then she would start crying and talking about things in the past as though they were happening to her then. And I could tell she was just really afraid or really sad, and she would cry. And sometimes this would happen in the middle of the grocery store or at, when we were on a walk at the park. And it was just overwhelming to say what is going on here? How do I respond? And what I got finally, after a lot of practice, I realized it was okay for me to just try to understand who she thought I was. And a lot of times, if she thought I was her sister or her friend, her best friend growing up, it could be just really comforting for her to have that connection to me. And so if I realized that was where she felt like I was fitting in, I wouldn't stop her and correct her and say, "No, Mom, I'm Carrie." And I wouldn't call my dad, I would call him Ed, because I knew it would keep maybe that channel from shifting in her mind.